Explain like I'm 5 why ants won't jump from heights to shortcut their way. Ants won't die from being dropped from any height. Their weight to surface area is so low that the ant will never hit a velocity that is terminal. So my question is why they won't just jump from heights to reach certain points faster. Are they scared of heights? Ants use pheromone scent trails to find the way to and from their nest. If they were to jump, they would be completely cut off from that web of scents that they can use to make their way back to their nest. They would simply be lost and disconnected from their colony. Ants have a visual range of about 1–2 feet. So if they're 5 feet off the ground and just drop, they have no way of knowing what they'll land on. It could be a stream that carries them away. From an evolutionary perspective, it's probably safest to go along a path you can trust, because it's got a pheromone trail, than to just launch yourself into the unknown on a regular basis. Sure, walking takes longer, but it's not like an ant is in a hurry to go anywhere. So who cares? Terminal velocity is not the velocity that will kill a living thing. Rather, as Wikipedia defines it, as follows. Terminal velocity is the maximum velocity attainable by an object as it falls through a fluid. It occurs when the sum of the drag force and the buoyancy is equal to the downward force of gravity acting on the object. Since the net force on the object is zero, the object has zero acceleration. Not trying to be a know-it-all, but this is a pet peeve of mine. Plus they weigh so little. A tiny gust could whisk them away hours from home. Why risk such a thing? Ants leave and follow chemical trails. They don't operate as individuals. An ant that jumps to create a shortcut is not leaving a trail for other ants to follow. Meaning the jumping ant is the only one that got the shortcut and now it has no trail to follow. Think of them dropping a large height, like if someone moved you a state over and said get back home, then took anything you had to use as a tool away. Ants leave pheromones behind which work like a breadcrumb trail to go back or for others to follow. It's enough to injure them actually, and those injuries can add up. If you slow-mo an ant falling, they compress like a normal creature and don't always land perfectly, which can lead to injuries. Ants aren't on a one-way trip. They take round trips, so the path there needs to work as path back home as well. Jumping off something won't work on the way back. I remember this documentary once where the ants just grab dandelion puffs and float where they want to go. One ant spilt all the food and had to leave to find protection from the evil grasshoppers. Great documentary. Why would you, as a blind-ass tiny-ass bloke in a huge-ass environment, just randomly jump to somewhere? Top comment says you lose the pheromone scent. But you really have no idea how far you will be jumping down. You could fall 10 meters or 100 meters. And sure, you survive that. But then what? You will be displaced a huge amount of distance relative to where you used to be, and how are you supposed to find your way? I just feel like randomly yeeting yourself off an unknown height into an unknown environment is not really the best strategy for navigation. To correct the terminology used in the post, the ants will hit a velocity that's terminal velocity. But the terminal velocity is so low they won't suffer damage. Terminal velocity is the maximum velocity speed attainable by an object as it falls through a fluid. Air is the most common example. It doesn't mean that something dies at that speed. Not sure if that's what you meant, but I didn't used to know this, so I figured I'd say it. They will. This happened in my front porch a couple weeks ago. An ant was carrying a dead fly, very impressive to see. and it yeeted the fly off of a step and then just jumped off to grab it and keep moving it. I can still fall and break my arm without hitting terminal velocity lol. Just because I won't immediately die when I jump off of something doesn't mean it's safe. The same reason railroad trains don't jump the tracks to make a shorter route. In the ant's case, the pheromone trail is the track. I would have to think of it like this: even if I can fall from 20 feet on my face and survive, do I really want to fall from that height to save time? There has to be a capacity of suck from the fall regardless. Imagine if you were using a map to find your way around. Suddenly, you teleported to somewhere you have never been. You would be lost and would need to find a street sign. Ask someone, or find something you've seen before to know where you are on the map. It could take a long time to figure it out. Ants jumping from heights would get lost also. They're not very good at asking for directions. Ants are so light that they don't get tired from walking. Plus they've got the time to take the long road. Do insects even have thought processes or just naturally follow scents and programmed movements?